Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're a learner aiming for that shortcut to really mastering a subject, we break down complex stuff into, well, knowledge you can actually use.
hmm
Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're looking at the architecture, really, of a top-tier academic essay.
Right. Getting under the hood.
Exactly. Our source is Mr. G's 10-step guide to good academic essay writing. Now, we're treating this as more than just a guide. It's like a blueprint for sophisticated thinking.
And the core metaphor is quite powerful, isn't it?
It really is. It frames the whole thing as the dance to A-level success. The idea is that a great essay isn't just words. It's like a coordinated, elegant, almost intentional performance.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to figure out how these 10 specific steps build that rhythm, that structure, and ultimately that artistry on the page.
And I think that dance metaphor is key because it highlights purpose.
Mm.
While the guide itself is aimed at business A-level students, the principles underneath, like demanding solid structure, deep analysis, justification linked to context, these are universal tools.
Right. For any learner.
For any learner, yeah. If someone looking to get knowledge quickly, thoroughly, this framework basically makes sure every word, every move you make on the page actually contributes. We're trying to stop those paragraphs that just wander off.
Okay, love that. So let's unpack this. Where does any good performance start? Rhythm and structure, the fundamentals.
Makes sense.
So step 1 kicks things off. Use of connectives and chains of analysis. This is all about the rhythm, the flow. It's how you link ideas gracefully. Using those sophisticated linking words like therefore, consequently, however, in contrast, and maybe the most vital one.
The causal link.
Exactly. But the rhythm gets deeper, doesn't it? When you build a proper analytical chain, it's not just saying X happened. You have to push it. Cause leads to effect, leads to consequence.
Right. You got to show the knock-on effects.
Yeah, Mr. G gives a great example. If costs increase, profit margins fall. Okay, simple start.
Yep.
Which may reduce funds for future investment.
Yeah.
Getting deeper. Therefore, weakening long-term competitiveness. See that momentum, that constant push.
That's the analysis engine kicking in. Is the difference between just describing something and actually analyzing its impact.
Got it. So once you have that rhythm, that flow, you need structure. Step 2 brings in the business pillars.
Right. The structure. If you're tackling a business problem, the guy says your evaluation has to stand on 4 foundations, always.
Which are?
Marketing, operations, finance, and human resources, HR.
Okay.
And these aren't just, labels to slap on. They're systemic lenses. They force you to keep your argument balanced.
How so?
Well, think about a big decision, like, say, launching a new product. You can't just talk about the marketing buzz.
Right.
You use the pillars. How does this hit operations? What are the production challenges? What's the finance angle, the investment needed, the payback? And HR, do we need new skills, more training?
Ah, I see. So using those 4 pillars automatically forces you to think about the whole system, the complexity.
Precisely. It ensures breadth, stops you from having a lopsided argument.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got rhythm and structure. Now things get more sophisticated. Step 3 is strategy, the choreography, as the guide calls it.
The why.
Right. Once you know what the business is doing, you have to explain why strategically. And that's where you bring in the models.
The theoretical tools.
Yeah. Things like Ansoff's matrix, Greiner's growth model, maybe Porter's generic strategies, Bowman's clock.
And the key here isn't just name-dropping the model.
No, it's about what applying the model tells you. For example, if you use Ansoff's matrix and identify international expansion as market development,
Right.
you're instantly signaling something specific. Moderate risk, maybe, but needing significant internal resources and commitment. That one term, market development, carries a lot of analytical weight.
It frames the strategic intent and the likely challenges. And that ties perfectly into step 4, objectives.
The purpose of the dance.
Exactly. Every single thing you analyze, every action, every strategy has to connect back to a core business goal. Is it about survival, grabbing market share, pure profit maximization, or maybe just growth?
So without that link, the analysis is just floating.
Pretty much. It becomes descriptive. If you talk about, say, a price cut, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But why did they do it?
Right.
Linking it to the objective, maybe increasing market share, even if it hurts short-term profit, explains the rationale. It answers the so what question.
Okay, this is building nicely. Now, the absolute core technique. Step 5, approach. This is presented as mandatory. A specific paragraph structure.
Ah, yes, the SEAEJ framework. Speak,
that.
explain, analyze, evaluate, justify.
It sounds quite rigid. Non-negotiable for top marks, the guide says. Does that rigidity stifle creativity, or is it actually the secret sauce?
That's a good question. I'd argue that in this context, the rigidity is clarity. It stops the argument just sort of meandering.
Keep us disciplined.
Exactly. It actually enables depth, I think, but only if you really get the difference between those middle steps, especially explain and analyse.
Okay, break that down. What's the key difference?
To explain is basically defining the factor.
Yeah.
What is it? How does it work immediately? Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
To analyse, though, that's where you explore the implications, the ripple effects. Using those cause and effect chains we talked about back in step 1, what are the consequences down the line?
Got it. Explain is the what, analyse is the so what happens next,
Yeah.
and then evaluate. That's the balancing act.
Precisely. Evaluation is the weighing up. It's
Yeah.
where you absolutely must bring in the pros and the cons. Step 7, which we'll get to, is crucial here. You're showing both sides of the coin.
Acknowledging the complexity.
Yes, but it all leads to justify. That's the clincher. You've weighed the evidence, now you have to make a judgment. Choose the stronger side based on that evidence.
So you can't just sit on the fence.
Nope. It forces a conclusion, disciplines your thinking, you resolve the conflict you've just laid out.
Okay. SEAEJ is the vehicle. So what do we put in the vehicle? That takes us to the next few steps, adding depth and sophistication. Step 6, real-world examples.
Yes. Theory needs music, as the guide puts it.
Yeah.
You can't just talk abstract concepts. Using current, relevant business examples brings it all to life, makes it authentic.
And the guide mentions specific ones, Tesco versus Aldi on price.
Right, or Apple using premium pricing for brand identity. Greg's moving into healthier food. Think about the operational shift there.
Or JD Sports using influencers for marketing.
Exactly. And the insight for you, the learner, isn't just that an example was used, but why that specific example is relevant right there. Does it prove the point? Does it show a nuance?
So the example has to directly serve the point being made in that SEAEJ paragraph.
Absolutely. It's got to be targeted evidence.
Which leads perfectly into step 7, impact. This is about contrast and control, really hitting that evaluate stage hard.
Showing intellectual maturity, always aiming for balance, pros versus cons, benefits versus drawbacks, advantages versus disadvantages. You have to show both.
It's about acknowledging trade-offs, isn't it? Things are rarely simple wins.
Almost never. The guide's example is spot on. Increasing automation. Benefit, higher efficiency, lower costs maybe.
Sure.
Drawback, massive upfront investment needed. And what about staff morale? Could plummet? That's the tension you need to explore.
Demonstrating that complexity. Okay, so complexity often demands specialized language, specialized tools. Step 8, theories and models.
Yes, the academic choreography. This shows real depth, going beyond just the strategic models from step 3.
So this is about bringing in the heavy hitters of theory.
Right. If you're talking motivation, don't just say reward staff. Reference Maslow's hierarchy or Hertzberg's two-factor theory. That immediately signals how you're thinking about motivation, basic needs, or higher-level factors.
Then for change management.
Same idea. You need models that don't just describe change, but offer a framework. Cotter's 8-step model is about the sequence of change.
From urgency to embedding it.
Exactly. Or Lewin's force field analysis, weighing up the driving forces against the restraining ones. It forces a structured assessment.
And for competition, Porter's 5 forces is the standard.
It's the classic framework, yes. Analyzing buyer power, threat of substitutes, barriers to entry. Using these theories shows your analysis is grounded, structured, and frankly, academically sound. They're your precision tools.
Okay, we're nearing the end of the routine. The final 2 steps seem to be about elevating the performance from good to mastery level. Real artistry. Starting with step 9, time frame.
Mastering the timing, yes. This is crucial for advanced thinking.
You have to consider both the short-run and long-run effects. Always. Stopping after the immediate impact just isn't enough.
It really isn't. Because the time frame is essential for proper risk assessment. Think about that price reduction example again.
Right. Short run, sales might jump, market share increases. Looks good.
Looks great, maybe. But long run, what happens to the brand image? Does it look cheap now? Do competitors start a price war? Does profitability just get eroded permanently?
Ah, okay. So the top-level answer has to identify that tension. The short-term win versus the potential long-term strategic loss.
Exactly. It shows you understand that decisions ripple outwards over years, not just months or quarters. It's about seeing the whole timeline.
Okay, and the grand finale. Step 10. Context. The artistry that makes the performance unique to the situation.
This is arguably the biggest differentiator. Context means tying every single point back specifically to the case study, the scenario, the industry mentioned in the question. No generic answers.
So taking the theory, Maslow, Porter, whatever, and bending it to fit the specific facts you've been given.
Precisely. You have to constantly ask yourself, okay, under what specific conditions does this argument actually hold true?
Give me an example.
Well, analyzing financial risk using the finance pillar, it's totally different for a huge multinational corporation compared to a tiny startup, right?
Completely different scale and resources.
Exactly. The context, the company's size, its industry, its leadership determines how strong your justification is. That specificity proves you've truly applied the knowledge, not just regurgitated it.
Wow. Okay, so that brings us through the full 10-step routine. We've seen it needs rhythm from connectives, structure from the pillars, purpose from objectives, technique like SEAEJ, depth from examples and theories, and finally, that artistry from timing and context. It's really not just listing facts. It's about how smoothly, how confidently, how purposefully your ideas dance across that page.
Absolutely. We've broken down the individual steps, from the foundations right up to the flourishes. But it's worth thinking about how those final sophisticated steps interact with the core technique back in step 5.
Okay.
Remember, that SEAEJ framework demands that you justify your conclusion. Step 5 insists on it.
Right. Make a choice based on the evidence.
But that justification has to incorporate the full time frame, step 9, short and long run. And it must be rooted in the specific context, step 10, the unique conditions of the scenario.
Okay, I see where you're going.
So it raises a really interesting question for you, the learner, to think about as you aim for mastery in your next piece of academic work. Can any justification truly be final, truly objective, if the conditions, the context, and the duration, the time frame under which it holds true are always shifting, always evolving? That's the real challenge, isn't it? The ongoing dance of high-level analysis.